Hey, welcome back guys. Today I'm going to show you how to install a short throw shifter in my 96 Cobra. I'm sure it's the same application for any SN95s Mustangs. So watch this video and hope it's helpful. So it comes as a set in a box with all these parts to it. Is the main piece, and I'm going to walk you through the video and through all the steps, which nuts, which bolts is for what. So let's get into it. So first things first, we want to take this, if you have a nut here, take it off as well, but basically pop this out. This should come out of here, like that, just push it out. Unplug your cigarette lighter. The boot comes off. There's a couple of these screws in here, 4 of them. We're gonna take these out. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are 8mm. So this comes out of the way. We'll get that out. And somebody had aftermarket shifter in here, so there's a couple Allen keys in here. I'm gonna get those out as well. And then this should pop off. That comes off. We'll get this off. And here's the old shifter. I think it's also aftermarket. So let's see. So we're gonna get these 4 big screws out of there. And these are 13mm. So once the screws are out, wiggle this, see if it comes off. Usually it's pretty solid, so grab a big screwdriver, get it up in there, down here, and just try to pry it open gently. Okay, that's off. There we are. That's what it looks like. There's transmission fluid in there, so you might get your hands a little greasy. Make sure you got this plastic cup over here. It's got to stay back in this hole, so make sure it didn't come off on your old shifter, okay? So when you put the new shifter in, you gotta either buy a new gasket, they sell them online cheap, or if you got a gasket maker, clean this up without dropping any dirt in here. So put like paper towel in here or rag, clean these edges real nice, and then get the rag out carefully without dropping any dirt inside the transmission. And then lightly put a thin layer of this around the edges. Carefully drop this in there, and the ball line goes right into the hole over there. So carefully align it, push it down, and then you can get your screws and put them back in there. I'm gonna take my thread locker and get some under here, just because a lot of vibrations in the transmission, you don't want nothing coming loose. Let's get this out of here. Try to go in a crisscross pattern so they all get sealed equally, and then you're gonna need to get them down to 15 foot-pounds of torque. So now that you got this thing in, you can adjust your back stoppers here. So 4th and 3rd gear. Basically, when you put in 4th, this little gap that you have between the screw and the shifter, you want just a little visual gap in there, maybe like 1mm, but not more than that and not less. Same with the front. When you go in the 3rd gear, you want just barely like a 1mm gap in the front here. Hard to see, it's dark, but adjust this screw so you have tiny little gap. So let's try it. I think that should be good for the 4th. Make sure to tighten this nut again and double check. You want like a 1mm gap in there when you're hitting the 3rd gear. You don't want it touching, but I think we're good here. So now you can select which sides and how do you want to set everything up. So this goes here. You got 3 holes on this side, so you can either do it lower or higher. I think I'm gonna do it higher. And now you got this. That's where the knob spins onto. So this, you can either put it here or over here, up to you. And I'm also gonna take some thread locker and get them on here on those threads, because like I said, transmission vibrates. You don't want nothing coming loose. Tighten up. And to adjust your spring to come back, you gotta take out this big screw in there. And my set came with two different springs. One is bigger, one is smaller. The smaller one was already installed in there, so I need to put a bigger one in there so the shifter comes back to neutral. So the right side has a bigger spring already put in there, and this one is smaller. So if you look, when I put it this way, it doesn't come back, but when I go left, it does come back to the center. So now I'm gonna swap this one as well. This comes out. Don't lose this piece. And inside there's a little tiny spring like this. So here's the small spring and here's the big spring. One's a little taller, if you could. So I'm gonna use the bigger one. And you gotta really look inside the hole and make sure it lines up. There's a little nipple in there, make sure it's straight up, and then you can drop your spring and make sure it lines up nicely in there flush. So play with it, you'll get it eventually. So once you get the spring in there, get your cover back on here, and then you can play with it, try to push it far down, and then play with the shifter, see if you like the recoil on the spring. If not, you can raise or lower it. Okay, so it's the next day. I let my handmade gasket cure. It's all nice and dry now, hanging out a little bit here. So once I got these adjusted, I actually, on my setup, I just made this nut flush with the outside here on both sides, and it works fine. I just took it for a test drive, and it's perfect. So it recoils back to the center like it's supposed to. The springs are working fine. I tried all the gears, drove it, reverse, every gear works fine. And actually, the reason I replaced it because the old short throw shifter that I had in here, fourth gear would just grind once in a while. It wouldn't, and sometimes would just pop out by itself. So I test drove it right now. This one seems good. I think we fixed the problem. So now I'm gonna get my all these boots and start assembling the whole thing back again. Line up the holes. Now we're gonna get those little screws back in there. Next we'll get this side mounted, and the screws are gonna go from this side instead. So same thing, throw some thread lock on it just to be safe, and screw it in there. You got this solid. Let's put this boot back on. Get to plug in your cigarette lighter. Close back in, push it in. So we're all finished here. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you found this useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Help this channel grow so I can bring you more car stuff like this. See ya.